Victor. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this MGAA market briefing. Where I'm really happy to have with us Daniel from, I've been desperately trying to get this right, Citrex, but if I have got it wrong, I'm sure Daniel will correct me once
Oh, you
once
got
he
it
gets
perfectly.
started. Thank you. The pressure is slightly off. So just before we get started, quick sort of run through the housekeeping for you. As always, apologies to frequent attendees at these sessions. The content unfortunately doesn't change, but just for anyone that's new, just run through a few do's and don'ts. So if I could ask politely if you could keep cameras and microphones off, because it just helps with the technology. And as I always say, we really do want to stay with you to the end of the presentation. So everything we can do to help with the bandwidth is much appreciated. As always, please ask questions as we go through. If you can pop them into the chat, and then Daniel will cover those off at the end, or if it's a relevant point, he may pick it up as we're going through. But yes, please pop those into the chat as they come to mind, and we'll cover those off. I don't think there are any AI note takers that have popped into the chat, but if anyone has activated any, if you could please deactivate them, because unfortunately we don't have everyone's permission, so we can't have them present in the meeting, I'm afraid. And in terms of CPD, just to remind you that our sessions are accredited by the CII for CPD purposes. So if this meets with your training needs, you can pop it into your learning log or your CPD log. So I think I've covered most everything off. That leaves me to introduce to Daniel to us, and he's going to deliver us our market briefing on, quote, 3 times faster without hiring. So without further delay, I will hand over to Daniel and his session.
Thank you very much, Alison. Great to see everybody. Great to meet everybody. My name is Daniel. I'm the co-founder and CRO of Citrex. And today, let me see if this moves properly. Our goal for today is to help you see how wasted admin time translate into lost quotes and premiums. Second step is to how an AI project has the right foundation to hit goals, governance, and adoption. And the third one, how can you make a practical action today to cut admin or test AI in underwriting? How are we going to achieve this? We're going to see it in a couple of steps. The first one is where we started, the real cost that we have of admin overload. Second one, what do other MGA leaders are doing right now? The hard truths of applying AI to your MGA. Another step will be how can we make AI succeed? What outcomes are we seeing right now? And what can you try today without risk and free moves that you can also do? So the first one is the reality that we're seeing today. Across the industry, underwriters are spending around 40% of their week on admin work. What is admin work? Things like rekeying data, chasing emails, compliance paperwork. That only leaves us around 30% of the underwriter's time left to do the real job, which is underwriting, assessing risk, seeing how can we make this risk possible and viable. The impact is severe. The studies that we have seen over and over again is that this workload means that teams can only review around 40 to 60% of the submissions they get. And that's actually the fewer part. And also from those 40% of submissions, you quote around 25. So see it in an example, we see 100 submissions arrive to our inbox. We review around 40. And out of those 40, we quote 10. So the majority, it's sitting untouched. That's not just inefficiency, it's missed premiums. And brokers are very clear on what matters most to them, which is speed. We have seen over and over again that brokers rank responsiveness as the #1 factor in their choice. If your competitor can quote in 4 hours while you take 2, you're not even in the running. It's like showing up to the race the following day. So that 40% of admin burden isn't just an operational headache. It's capacity drain, a hit ratio problem, and ultimately a revenue leak. My main takeaway for you right now is that every lost hour to admin is an hour lost of underwriting. The 40% admin trap translates directly into missed capacity and lost premium. Now let's contrast that with what we see from high-performing MGAs. Top MGAs are cutting their admin load down to 10-20%. That change alone gives underwriters back an extra day or more each week for actual judgment and broker interaction. The results we have seen are very measurable. Capacity doubles, even triples without new hires. And quote turnaround drops significantly from days or weeks to just a couple of hours. Hit ratios start to climb by 20, even 30% because brokers naturally reward the partners who come back first. If you send the quote faster, they will start seeing that information and say, okay, this MGA is very responsive. I'm going to send more deals that way. We are focused on a metric that we called quote SLA, which means the time from submissions to that first quote. The other one that we measure a lot is throughput, which means qualified quotes per underwriter per week. And MGA leaders are defining these metrics clearly and tracking them because that's what's going to make your business move and grow. So the lesson, it's simple but powerful. Time is a growth asset. The more of it you can free for your underwriters, the more you can scale your business. And we have seen over and over again that high-performing MGAs treat time like capital. They reduce the admin and increase capacity, speed, and hit ratios. But there's the other reality. We have seen AI everywhere in the headlines. But if we take a deeper look, we have seen MGAs tried AI in different capacities. Around 76% of MGAs have tried this, but only 7% have scaled beyond pilots. It's a very high contrast. What we have seen on the ones that are being successful is not about the flashiest technology. They start small and smart, tackling high ROI use cases like submission intake, or triaging, where improvements are obvious, tangible, and quickly to see. These quick wins build confidence and momentum. Where do we see MGAs fail? They not fail because algorithm doesn't work, but because of governance, adoption, and data quality. If the data is messy, if underwriters aren't on board, or if oversight isn't clear, projects stall in what we call pilot purgatory because it's not moving forward. Everybody's complaining about the technology, is only seeing the flaws and not using it as much. But also a hard truth that we also communicate is that AI is not a plug and play or a silver bullet, something that's going to change overnight. It succeeds when it augments underwriters. We want to empower underwriters, and that comes with building trust and delivering visible business outcomes. So if we want to see it in a short sentence, AI success depends less on technology and more on execution. Start small, align to something that's ROI driven, and get governance so the adoption can be done properly. What's the playbook to make this successful? The organizations that succeed treat AI as an operational change, not as an IT spend. The first step that they do is set a clear business goal. For example, increasing submission reviewed from 40% to 80%. That's one we see very, very impactful. The second one could be cutting quote turnaround by 80%. So if you used to take 1 week, you now take 1 day. This sharpens also the focus on how you're going to know if you're being successful and keeps the team accountable. The second step is to roll out in phases. Measurable outcomes on each step of the way. 30, 60, 90-day plan. That's something that we have seen work really, really well because you prove value early. And if you are satisfied with that value, you expand it gradually and avoid spreading your team or yourself too thin. Because the more you do, the less likely are you to be successful. Finally, leadership has to be involved. Adoption doesn't happen unless there's an executive sponsor. If you need your underwriting team to have ownership, that's something that also creates the perfect scenario to be successful. Technology alone is not something that's going to change the culture. Commitment from the top, it's always something that you need in order to be successful. We believe that AI is a business transformation, but it doesn't have to overhaul the whole infrastructure. It has to be supportive and not invasive. So that's why we suggest always clear goals, a phased rollout, and a strong leadership will turn this pilot into real outcomes. Don't be overthinking the the way that it will be adopted, the way that will be implemented. Focus on what you're looking for to achieve and build that path slowly so you can have the technology work for you as well. There's something that we are always curious to know is this really going to work? And we have seen it work very good when it's done in the proper way. The results are very tangible. It's not something that's not aligned with the objectives, with the main goals or the core settings that MGAs want to achieve. We've seen MGAs cut times. They move from days down to hours. And the first thing that they tell us is our brokers are noticing. Why are their brokers noticing? Because they used to take 1 week, 2 weeks, depending on the time that it takes on the type of risk that it takes to assess. They will cut it in half or reduce it by 80%. And the brokers start sending more business. So that's the first step that you will see. You will reduce the time on, let me rephrase that. So the first step that you see is you increase the submissions you're reviewing. So if you're used to reviewing 40 or 60 reviews out of 100, you're now at 80. We know that not all submissions have the same impact, but then you have more at-bat situations. The second step that you start seeing is the time to quote. You're taking less time because you're extracting the relevant information in order to quote faster and see if it's aligned with your binder, your policy, or your risk appetite. And once you start doing that, the more submissions you review, the faster you quote, the more submissions you're getting. And that has a trickle effect that if you're doing this fast and in the best possible way, brokers are seeing that you're very responsive and seeing more and more traction. And that's where we see that the admin load drops and the underwriters are focused on what they like the most, which is underwriting and not going through PDFs, not going through emails. It's happening right now, this. And also the AI systems learn through time. The tools get better as the more you use them. Some underwriters that are using our technology describe as a moving from an extra software that I need to update, that I need to review, to a reliable teammate. Is that assistant that's going to support you on the admin tasks that are repetitive, that shy away from actual underwriting. And it's also helping your free time to focus on risk adjustment and also on the broker's relationship. We know this is a relationship business and that you have to be nurturing those relationships. So what we have seen is AI delivers measurable gains, faster quotes, doubles your capacity, and tools that become more valuable the more you use them. Let me go here. What can you try today? The biggest hesitation that we see is whether AI will work for me. And it's all about risk. Will it take too long? Will it disrupt my operation? What if it doesn't deliver? All these questions we get over and over again. That's why we are focused on providing big, fast value. Most see value in 3 to 6 weeks, whether it's faster triage, smoother intake, or clearer data. And also for MGAA members, we're offering a 90-day guarantee. If results don't meet your expectations, you can walk away with a full refund, no lock-in, no downside. The point is simple. This doesn't have to be a leap of faith. We want MGAs to test it and see it in the real workflows with their data and decide for themselves if the onboarding was what they expected, if the results are what they expected, and also if they want to continue with this or go another way. That adoption of AI can be risk-free because the onboarding is fast, the wins are there, and the 90-day guarantee will give you that certainty that you don't have to be committed to to a contract, or you can walk away on your own terms. You can see on the upper right corner, there's a QR code that you can scan. And if you want to talk further on how can AI be applied, feel free to do it with me. The link is also on the bottom right corner. And if you're not there yet, because we know that some people want to learn more and be a little bit on their own pace, there's a couple of steps you can do today as possible. We created standalone product called Max, which is an inspection report analyzer. You can scan the QR code, go, it's completely free. All of these resources are completely free. You can watch how Max extracts data from inspection reports, up to 20 fields right now, and you can compare it with what you will do on a daily basis. It will show you the information that's relevant for assessing property risk, especially. The second resource I want to give for the team is the point of view generator. The idea is to create a tailored view on how AI could be applied to your company. This is not a generic PDF, it's completely tailored to your company, and see how it can apply AI from day one. It doesn't have to be with us, but what should you explore and what we believe it's best for you and your organization. The third resource that I want to give to you is industry report. You can benchmark where other MGAs are losing profit through inefficiency. You can compare if those are revenue leakages that you're having, if those are best practices that you want to implement, and a clear path on how to build AI from the ground up with all the certainty and security that it will work, and what results should you expect on each step of the way. These are 3 QR codes that you can scan completely free. This is resources that we build for MGAA only. And my main takeaway for you is that you don't need 6 months on an AI project. Each one of these can take less than 30 minutes to test, see, and feel. And you can see real examples of efficiency gains in your own context. This is not something that's going to be for somebody else. It's something that's relatable, it's fresh, and it's real for you. I hope that you have seen the step-by-step, the real cost of admin overload, what leaders do differently, what hard truth of MGAs implementing AI we have seen. And also you can start with a quick step on how to implement AI. We want MGAs to try to feel safe and to have a risk-free option to implement the technology on their end. And that's pretty much all from my end. I want to open the room for questions. I feel that I've been talking for a long period of time, and I want to hear from you. What questions do you have? If this is something that's real for you right now, is something that you're experiencing, feeling the burden is real, or something that you have seen.
So we haven't got any questions in the chat at the moment, but hopefully there are some people typing away. So I thought just while we're waiting, I've got a quick question for you. And I was wondering, from your experience, I suppose what's the best place if you wanted to get started? What would be the best, what's your recommendations on the first step?
That's a great question. The first step that we always suggest is review the process that are most repetitive in your day-to-day. Now, when you say that, you can start thinking of a lot of processes all over the place. One of the main processes that we have seen, for example, is slip creation, sleep analysis. Everything related to the sleep, it takes a lot of time and is very manual. Those comparisons are very prone to be automated by AI because it's something that's tangible and it doesn't have to require a lot of, let's say, mental power. If you want to compare one slip to the other one, how has it changed? It takes a lot of time, but it's not a very difficult task. And we have seen that underwriters are not very excited to do that part of the job. They're excited to review all the information and assess the risk, calculate the premium. Those are the type of work that we want underwriters doing more of instead of reviewing, for example, the slip or reviewing the emails, the email intake. We have seen that the inbox, it's a new trap because you get overflown by deals and you cannot review them all. If you can filter out and then focus on the tasks that underwriters actually are good at and want to spend time with, which is assessing the risk, those are the type of activities that you should start reviewing. The ones that are very repetitive, the ones that tend to be low value but mandatory, those are the best cases that you should start looking to automate.
Thank you. That's very helpful. I suppose, is there any, if you were to, in terms of people that have engaged with you and have implemented some of the processes, what's there, I suppose, what one piece of feedback is perhaps consistent across all of your customers? If there is a one general point that really is raised by most customers?
Yes, the first one is, why didn't we try something before? But we have seen why MGAs don't try it, because it's very risky and the chance of succeeding are very low, because they want this plug and play silver bullet magic process to appear. It's a process. We call it training on a junior underwriter. So you can walk through the agent and teach how you underwrite. That's something that we start. And by week 3, we start seeing a couple of improvements. By week 6, you're already live. That's why we want to shorten the learning curve that people expect to learn. 6 weeks for a lifetime change, in my opinion, is not a lot. And if you can do that risk-free, then it's a no-brainer with the 90-day guarantee. But where are the underwriters that are working with us see the most value is on the extraction of information. Because depending on the complexity of the risk, you get a lot of documents. If you get a lot of documents, you have to review them all or at least skim them to find those pieces of information that are critical to you. If you don't have to do that, like one of the examples that I've seen is you get a 100-page slip. I'm not a fast reader, so reading 100 pages takes me 4 or 5 hours. And we took that time that takes to read 4 or 5 hours and give it back for actual underwriting, because the information that you skim or look for was already in front of you, and it will tell you, hey, it's on page 7 of the risk assessment report that was sent to you. You can go there and double check if you want to be sure. And instead of reading and going through the PDF, you went directly to, hey, with this information, what's the best possible way to assess the risk? That's something that has been life-changing for the underwriters that are working with us. And the other piece is the data-driven information. When you know exactly where your information is being generated or your business is moving from, you can action on it. The first thing that they do is look for concentration. If 80% of my deals come from one single broker, what happens if I stop doing business with that broker? I'm too consolidated on that broker. Maybe I need to diversify. But you want to double click and look within that broker, which person is actually sending you deals. And then you find out that Amy is sending you 80% of the deals. So you realize that you're not only consolidated in that broker, but you're also consolidated in one person. So if that person leaves, what's going to happen to my business? The other thing that we also provide so they can action on it is, we call it the relationship meter. If somebody's sending you 10 deals, but you only win one, you can have an honest conversation like, hey, you're sending me a lot of deals, but we're not winning any. What's happening here? Why are we not winning more deals? Maybe I'm your third option. Maybe you just send me the deals that nobody wants, but you can have an honest conversation. Or you can move in the other direction. They send you 10 deals, you win 8, but 7 have claims. With that information, maybe you want to increase your premium because it's not a profitable business for you. Or the ideal scenario, they send you 10 deals, you closed 8 and 1 has claims. That's the relationship you want to replicate and continue developing and fostering.
Thank you very much for that answer. Having looking at the chat, we haven't got any questions popped in there. But I can see that you've got your contact details on the page in front of us, and the QR code for people to access you and the information quicker. So I think unless anyone has any questions, I'm going to assume not, but please shout out if you are mid typing. I'm going to yes, thank you, Daniel, for joining us, especially as it is you're not in our time zone, so it's this session is a little earlier than it would normally be for us, but it is very early for you. So thank you very much for joining us. And yes, just say the contact details are on the end there, and the slides we looked at previously, there was the QR codes for the free demonstrations, and we have got a thank you popping up. So I will take that as confirmation that everyone is happy in terms of asking questions and ready to get on with the rest of their day. So yeah, so thank you very much, Daniel, and thank you everyone for joining us.
No, I appreciate the time, Alison, and hope everybody got a learning there, and that you can action on it, and you can try AI for your company. It's very safe, it's risk-free, and any questions, I'm happy to support you and guide you along this path.
Okay, thank you very much, and
Thank
yes,
you.
goodbye to everyone.
Bye.